check.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Tuesday Night. I'm your host, MC Toon, and with me I have Ozien. Ozien's not a flurf. Normally you're like, there's a flurf here. Not tonight, not tonight. Tonight, Ozien and I will be reviewing the debate that he had with kaLLLLeb last week. And FTFE was going to be here, but it's 2 a.m. for him right now. So, or no, it's 4 a.m. is, I don't know, 8 plus 6. Is 14. That's 2 a.m. So it's 2 a.m. Anyway, this is Ozien, everybody. Say hello to Ozien.
Hello.
In the chat. They're already saying that. So this, I'm looking forward to this. This, I watched, what did I watch? I watched just the debate portion of it live. I've not watched the part that we're about to watch, the back and forth and the super chats and stuff. So anyway, Real Cygnus is a full 30 seconds of ads first. Proof you've moved up in the world. They're pushing ads in live stream. So there's a button on my panel here to insert an ad. If I wanted, I could put it in right now. And if you've watched any live streams and then ads were in the live streams, probably most of them are not being added by the creator. Most of them are automatically added if you let YouTube do that. I don't let YouTube do that. I set it to manual only, and then I manually don't add any for you. So there you go. Brenda says that the pastor Will Duffy is killing Jaron in Austin. So yeah, we're overlapping that right now. So if you're not aware of it, Will Duffy is a pastor at a church in Colorado. And he has gotten into Flat Earth for over 2 years now. He was at the debate in Tennessee. So Will and I connected a little bit ago, and we've been talking a little bit. There's him and myself and a few other people are in a group together. We're kind of talking a little bit about the debate that's happening right now. It started 3 hours ago, so it's I thought it'd be winding down by now. I think it's winding down, but anyway, that is currently happening, so I don't know if people will pop over here. But guess what I will probably do? I'll probably do a review of that debate or the discussion. So, Ozien, though, today we've got the good stuff. We've got kaLLLLeb now, and I've mentioned it. I don't know what do you think about this, Ozien? I've said that I don't think that it's kaLLLLeb. I don't think that's right. Because that gives a very specific suggestion about African Americans, and that's not what his. I mean, certainly that group has an issue with Jews as well, but his is really about Jews, and he really is a fan of the mustachioed Führer. So I don't think
misunderstood.
It is, but I have taken to just adding a few L's to the middle of his name because kaLLLLeb just keeps taking the L's. He's getting a collection.
He can't be KKK because his girlfriend is black. So
yeah, I actually I think she's mixed. I could be wrong. That's what I thought. Anyway, so we're about an hour and a half into it, and let me get it up on screen here. Now you won't be on screen initially. We'll want to add you to the screen. Do you want to see the video, or do you just want to hear it?
I like seeing, but either way,
I'll share it to you so that you can see it. And while I play it a little bit, and then I'll set it up so you can see it. So here we go, listening a little bit. Oh, it stopped. It jumped back to the beginning. Let's see.
I have to watch it on the stream though.
I'll get it. I'll share it to you in a second.
of them are scientists, like Miller's a scientist, but his theory is fringe. You appeal to people like Bob. It's not a scientist at all for your claim about friggin'
Bob.
the laser ring gyroscope. But I'm not supposed to appeal to experts that actually use the scientific method. The people that know the scientific method the best, much, much better than either of us do, Caleb. So
I know the scientific
so
method.
I
You
can
don't.
explain.
Don't pull me
So
into
if you
that.
want me to, you do not, because you're refuting actual scientists every time you open your mouth. So if you're talking
No.
about the picture, it would be
He's. I love it when he claims when they claim to know about science.
I forgot I said that.
The fringe scientists like Bob. Uh,
Well, I created my own little
oh yeah, some
fallacy. Yeah, it's called the false authority. That's the wrong one. False authority in logic fallacies, where they appeal to a fringe science source or just not even a scientist at all, and say that they could justify their claim without trying to repeat the evidence like we do in science. So the fail fallacy.
the
Anyways, thought that
fail
was funny.
fallacy. That's
Yeah.
good.
I heard you already had your own, so
I
guess-
have a couple laws of Flurf.
yeah.
I'm trying to set up the window here so people can see you, but it's not working so far. Anyway, yeah, the laws of Flurf. The first one is all Flurf citations contradict the Flurf's position, and that came from Whitsitt and Nathan Thompson, and it came when I was debating Nathan Thompson. And he made some claim about something, and it was in some scientific paper or somewhere. He's like, oh, it's here. I'm like, okay, we'll send it. And he would, all he did was he would just say the name of it, and I'm like, okay, but let's look at it. I want to pull it up right now, and he wouldn't. And so, of course, the live chat goes and hunts it down and sends it to me, and right away I start reading it instantly. It's like, oh, I know why you didn't want to cite it. It contradicts your position.
It's like they'll bring up some new paper that like contradicts the theory of relativity that's already been refuted hundreds of times, like this thinking alias or Elias effect with pendulums.
Oh.
And then you send me the study, like future test that showed no, that's not what they did it wrong. They used a 1 meter rope. It's like,
well, not even a rope. It was a metal bar.
Uh,
So it was a different type of pendulum than the Foucault pendulum. And the first one I found was only about gravity. The guy's like, well, the period of oscillation was different. Well, okay, gravity still exists. It doesn't change anything, even if he's right. The second one though is that the precession was different, and it wasn't much different. I've seen flat earthers claim it reversed direction. No, it didn't reverse direction at all. It changed its rate a little bit, but it wasn't repeated. Elias did it, and nobody else could get it to happen again. They tried, they couldn't get it. So,
but he's a Nobel laureate in economics.
I know they always have to mention that he's got a Nobel Prize. Oh, but you can't do the appeal to authority or fallacy, right? Never mind that. He's a Nobel laureate.
There's a fallacy right below like appeal to authority is called disregarding known science fallacy on the IEP, like the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy website.
Oh, yeah?
Disregarding known science fallacy. This fallacy is committed when a person makes a claim that knowingly, which they do, or unknowingly, which they typically don't do. They usually like disregard it, which is the next word. Knowingly or unknowingly disregards well-known science that weighs against their claim. It's a fallacy.
Yeah.
Fallacious reasoning.
And it's how many slides of Whitsitt's presentation is quotes?
It's half of his presentation is poisoning the well.
Yeah.
and in quotes of taken out of context.
Yeah, cherry picking. Like a quote isn't evidence. He's like, oh, it's a hostile witness. A hostile witness doesn't exist in science. This isn't a court of law.
Yeah, and it would be hearsay anyways, so it would be inadmissible in court because you're taking them out of context. They're not able to explain the nuanced position and why you're wrong.
Yeah.
What's it?
And I watched the first portion of the debate that Whitsitt had today, or the conversation they called it today, and he always does this. He's like, well, this is a real PhD. This guy's got a PhD. Did I mention he's got a PhD? I'm gonna just read a quote from this PhD that I've got here. And the quote is he's a geocentrist, and it's about the orbits of satellites and how the orbits of satellites work for the geocentric model. Geocentric is a sphere. And Witz is like, it's flat. Like, hold on a second, Witz.
No.
Could you make up your mind? Is it flat or a sphere? Because your citation, wrong, take it as it is for a second. Still a sphere.
They're desperate to refute theory of relativity. That's all they're trying to do.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, if I refute relativity, then everything else goes away. It doesn't work that way. Sean Hawkins says, I had the best debate on YouTube with Flatzoid. Have I seen it? Was this recent? I've not seen it. But we did miss. Oh, I need to mention, we were going to do the top left kickoff, but Craig was busy. He's got a lot going on. So we're going to have to push back down next week. Try to pull through people. I know. But Sean, if there are clips of that will go for top left. I'm not saying that my vote is going to be for Flatzoid yet, but I'm just saying, Sean, if you've got some clips from that debate to point out to me, I might want to use them in the person that I do vote for top left.
I don't know what, like, Flatzoid's horrible debater. Like, I debated him too with Dustin Nemos. Like, dude, you just are misunderstanding thermodynamics.
He's so bad. He's the worst. The rest of the flat earthers should ban him from debating.
I won't say who I'm debating next. He's a good guy, but I'm debating a Muslim on is the Quran scientific on February 4th on modern day debate. And it's like, dude, this is a religious text. Why are you claiming it's science? Like,
oh yeah.
It's like, separate the two. Like, otherwise I could use that to refute your whole religion. Like, you don't want to do that. So I don't get it.
All right, we better get back to this. But Justin, who in the chat here is Yahooligan, says, if you're not subscribed to MC Toon, your subscription could be the one to roll over to 20,000. I'm at 19995 right now.
Oh. And Yahooligan is my co-host on Matters Now too. So Justin.
There we go. All right, let's play a little more of this.
He explained by the elevation of the viewer, the elevation of what they're reviewing, the distance between the two things, and refraction of the atmosphere, which has to do with the temperature and I think the humidity of the atmosphere during the time of the observation. So I would have to see all the data to be able to calculate it. And I'll bet you every time a flat earther provides one of these pictures, you actually get the actual data. It proves that the Earth is a globe every single time, such as a black swan, the wiggly friggin' crane.
Are you done?
Flat.
Are you just going to sophistry through the whole debate?
It's not sophistry.
Okay, my turn now. Now it's my turn. Okay, so there should be 40 miles of geometric curvature in between the 2 points. It's very simple. All I'm looking for is, if that's the case, let's assume the observer height was over 100 feet. And he was seeing the shoreline, meaning it's at sea level of mountains raised up into the sky. What is causing that? How are we?
What is he talking about here? What observation is this?
A cloud that he says is a mountain.
This was Crete?
Yes, I couldn't remember. And this is funny too, because he admits to what it is. I said sometimes it's even like a cloud, because I remember what you did before. And he said, yeah, I was like, it is a cloud.
It's a cloud. I gotta pull this up. It wasn't me. that figured it out. It was Oli Hassan Hassan Hassa. I'm sorry. I could never get his last name right. Well, all right. I should do better. I love him. He's so good. I message him on Facebook, not Facebook, on X. So hold on. Let me find Oli on here. Do you know? Can you say his last name?
Oleon?
Ola. There it is. Dahassalir. Oli Dahassalir.
Oh, you got 20K subs apparently. So.
What? Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. 2. Yes. Hold on. Screenshot that.
Congratulations,
that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. 20,000. It's been a long time in the making. You know when I do celebrations though? Do you know?
No.
Fibonacci sequence. So 18,000. Really? I don't know if I did it 18. But anyway, thank you everybody for 20,000. I mean, I could still do a celebration. Do you have a noisemaker, Ozien?
Woo, 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 woo. I could bring Mary in. She'll make plenty of noise. So my Amazon parrot.
You're what?
You're lucky she's in the other room. I got an Amazon parrot. She speaks.
Oh, geez. I thought for a second that you were talking about a human. Like I got a something. She's in the other room and she makes a lot of noise. I'm like, oh.
No, they're upstairs.
All right. Okay, that's funny. Okay. I got his name. We got off track here. Oli Dahassalir. So Oli had found it. Oh my goodness, people, you need to go subscribe to him right now. Forget about subscribing to me. Go sub to him. He's in the chat. I just posted it. He's not in the chat. The link to his channel is in the chat. He's at 816 people. 816. He's way better than me. Way better than me. Unsubscribe from me and go subscribe to him. I'm not kidding you. Go. He is top notch. Where is it?
It's just a sad part of this thing. There's a lot of really good debaters like in these communities that are like on the side of truth, but the flat earthers get like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subs.
It's a conspiracy against us. It has to be. It is. It has to be. All right, here is Oli Dahassalir. I'll play it. It's 12 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this was the Crete observation. So he did a similar thing to what I did, where he identified the angles. The angles were wrong to Crete. The thing that Taboo Conspiracy and Shimshon had thought they saw, which is right here. See that smudge there? Mm-hmm. They think that's the sun, and that behind the sun, those little kind of steps, they think are the mountains of Crete. Oh. And that thing in the foreground, that's an oil well. And so that's a really good landmark or sea mark, because you can see where it is, and the position of that oil well is not variable. They have pipes dug into the surface underneath the surface of the ocean or sea underneath there. They can't just move. It's not floating. So, and the position that Shimshon was in is known. So that angle can be you can get that with real precision. And but when you actually look at it, at where it has to be, it's a bit off. You see that line there? That line there isn't hitting Crete. So it's, number one, it can't be Crete. It's the wrong angle. but it's even worse than that.
So it was in Israel. I don't know if you noticed, okay, in his opening argument, he had a slide that came up with this picture of this observation. and it said it was from Israel to Crete,
Yeah.
616 miles. But when he was talking about it, he said it was from Palestine
Yeah.
to Crete. He couldn't say Israel.
He thinks that all of Israel should be Palestine.
Yeah.
That was telling. Anyway, so the angle's off, but the real important thing is let's see here. It's near the end. So there's the sun as it's setting.
During the observation was very apparent.
And Oli goes through
I
all
could
of
see
this.
the clouds move.
Yeah. Yeah, so he looked up the clouds for that time. There were clouds in the area. Right? So, but that's the important thing. Look at those clouds move
Yeah.
across. They're
And
clouds.
on the bottom, they're moving.
They're clouds. But
Not very fast, but they're
not
moving.
just the bottom, not just the top clouds, but yeah, the bottom clouds in front of the sun. Those are moving too. It's clouds. Crete doesn't float.
I've been to Crete.
Really?
Yeah,
there
in
it
the
is.
Navy.
There it is.
I couldn't get off the ship. I had duty. So everybody else got to see Crete.
So there it is. The moving island of Crete, which has moved significantly south of where it used to be. Nobody noticed. So yeah, so all of their arguments, they all fail all the time.
Seeing that far when there's supposed to be 40 miles of curvature over 600 miles.
Dig that hole, Caleb.
Please just give like a succinct explanation of how that would happen.
Well, I'll look at
Or
the
just
map
avoid
to
it.
see
Or
if
avoid
it's
it.
actually 40 miles over. You said 600 miles of difference. So we need an Earth curve.
Yeah, 616 miles.
Earth curve calculator. So let's do this in real time. Okay.
Ah,
This
and
is boring.
I was kicking myself. I'm like, dude, this
Yes,
is
you
the
were
thing.
messaging me.
I
Clouds,
did,
clouds.
Did you get other messages? There had to be 10 people. There should have been.
No, it was just you. But I didn't even see your messages until after the
I
fact.
know.
I deduced it. You see in the conversation where like he thought I was like had knowledge. Like, I already knew it. Like it's so funny. But
Yeah.
he ratted himself out, which is good, I guess.
He ratted himself out later?
Well, yeah, he said it was a video that I got the information from you, basically.
Oh. Yeah, because you had seen my video, but you weren't just recalling it, right?
I think you called me and you mentioned it. I didn't actually watch your video, I don't think.
Okay. Well, I messaged you, but you didn't notice it until you were done with the debate, right?
Yeah. Right. Until
This
this
sounds
sounds
so
over. Boring. Like, so 616.
I'm just looking for a
1.6
simple
or whatever.
explanation.
Well,
It's clouds.
you asked, so 985,000 meters, is that right? Target size, I don't know. I'd have to
All right.
This is boring.
Let's get past that. It's just clouds. Good job, Caleb.
You want another question, Caleb? Okay, fine. I have
It is
my
your
last one
turn.
here. Sure. How does flat Earth model explain seismic data, geological phenomena like volcanoes and tectonic plates, which are consistent with the spherical Earth's interior structure? We can actually see particles that come through the Earth from the sun on the other side of the Earth. So how do you explain all that data?
Denial.
Actual facts,
Right.
observations. How do you explain that?
Do you know how many begging the question fallacies you just committed?
None.
None.
I
asked a question.
How does
We
your
have
model explain?
observations.
You're begging the question. No, we're not.
I accept testimonial evidence. You don't.
Okay, that wasn't my question. Do you know how many begging the question fallacies you just committed?
You have an answer to the question?
Good job.
No? Okay. we
You're
can
asking
move
me
on.
how
What-
seismic
my
data
question-
works. Oh, you're gonna keep talking even though I'm supposed to be answering the question.
Well, answer the question then.
Yeah, so there's movement to plate tectonics, plate level. So there's movement, there's seismic activity
No.
under the surface of the
It's
Earth.
like-
It-
Because the word plate is in there, therefore flat.
I know.
I got that line. It was so dumb.
Just because the Earth's flat doesn't mean that there's not seismic activity. This is like almost an entire red herring to the entire logic, like the entire question at hand. Like, ask me how. It's like asking how volcanoes work on flat Earth. It's like
Yes.
it doesn't make
That's a
any
good
sense.
question.
They work the same. There's pressure mediation from the pressure of the soil on top of one another, creating pressure and that being released through a volcano. It doesn't even pertain to the question of whether the Earth's surface is round or flat.
Well, it kind of does though, doesn't it?
Yes, because gravity.
Because gravity, but he rejects gravity, and he goes with the Whitsitt idea that it's electrical.
Yeah.
And he tries to parrot Whitsitt, but he can't parrot Whitsitt very well on that. But Whitsitt has this script that he's strung together with bubblegum and shoelaces, and it fools all of the people that don't understand anything about electronics. But nobody else. And kaLLLeb doesn't have his script written down, so he gets it wrong. So if Whitsitt says that there's a plate of a Gaussian surface, he says, a physical Gaussian surface. He's never taken a class in electronics, not electronics. He's never taken an E&M class. In the E&M class, a Gaussian surface is a hypothetical surface, not a physical surface. But he calls it a physical surface. Anyway, he says there's the physical Gaussian surface, that's the surface of the Earth, and then up here is the dome. And between them is a capacitor, basically, is what he describes. He doesn't know that he's describing a capacitor, but he is. What's below this? What's the voltage differential below this? Must be nothing, because it's all solid. The rest of the Earth is all solid, so it must be all the same electrical potential, right? So under the Earth, there'd be no downward acceleration. The vector's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Yet
but we can have
you don't float when you're in a cave.
No. Well, I always super chat him asking, why don't we float during reverse lightning strikes? Why don't we get lighter when we put a Faraday cage? He gets mad every time. Like,
Yep.
Like, dude, you don't have an answer for it because you don't understand like electrical theory, electrostatics, and I've had to look. Like, I understand electrical theory from my Navy experience and stuff like that, and I do that for a living. And but electrostatics, he brings these things up, and I was like, okay, man, and every time I go look, like you're talking about two different concepts, and you're like intermingling two different concepts together and thinks it explains anything. It doesn't.
Yeah, all he's done is he's read a little bit of Feynman's lectures. Not much. He's not done any of the problems in there.
I think Feynman's talking about particles though too from space, like various sources.
The electrostatic field in the atmosphere is due to particles.
Yeah.
Austin's like, I don't accept that part of it. I'm going to cherry pick that away. Like, then provide the mechanism. No, you don't have one? Then I will reject your proposal to throw away the actual mechanism that people have empirically confirmed.
And if the dome is electrically connected to the Earth somewhere, then it's like you created an equal potential zone. You're going to have some gradient difference across the surface in between, and across the dome. But how do you calculate? It's going to be a gradient from where it's touching.
Well, the dome is
middle.
The dome is sitting down on the ground, so the dome is touching that surface. Right, here's the Gaussian surface. Dome is touching on both sides of it, so it's at the same electrical potential.
Yeah,
because he says that the dome is another Gaussian surface, so it has to be conductive. So it can't be touching the ground and not conductive, right? In between this plate and the dome is zero electrical potential. It's neutral.
Yeah.
I covered this last night.
I think I tried to explain this to kaLLLeb too. We'll see.
Poor kaLLLeb. He's not the smart one.
It literally makes no sense. It's an illogical question. Very incoherent.
It doesn't work the same because the Earth requires gravity, downward pressure towards the core of the Earth for any of this stuff to work. Plate tectonics don't make any sense moving around on a flat disk. They make sense on a
We're not on a disk.
With the what it makes sense on a
Wait,
whatever your
stop.
claim is.
No, stop.
Whatever your claim
You're
is.
straw manning me. You're straw manning me.
what
The Earth
what's
is a
the Earth?
level,
This
infinite
is good.
plane. We're not on a
Infinite.
disc floating around in a
What
vacuum,
else?
brother. This ain't 2015 anymore.
How can anything?
Clive
It
Wells.
makes me excited when he does this. It's like, you're like walking into a trap, an infinite flat plane.
But with the dome,
Yeah,
right? With the dome, because he's going with Witsit's dome thing for electrical stuff. All right.
infinite
Clive Wells,
dome.
hold on. Clive Wells says, don't say Gaussian. That's a witless pronunciation. I'm saying it on purpose.
Is it Gauss? It's Gauss?
Yeah, it's from Gauss. So it's a Gaussian.
Yeah.
He's never sat in a lecture in his life and paid attention. So he hasn't learned from somebody that deals with it, that has conversations with other people about the topic. Right? He's only just had a couple interactions with it, read it himself, that, oh, how do I say it? I'll say it this way. And none of his flurfkin are going to correct him because they've never heard it before at all. You watch the comments. You go look at the comments under Witsit's his schooling globers or relativity stuff, and all of these people are just like, oh, this is the best learning ever. You're so smart. Like, you really had no clue, do you? He was just making that up, and you bought it. You bought it, you dummy.
Though.
He does believe it, yeah, but he makes it up and believes it. That's what a grandiose narcissist does. A pathological liar believes their lies.
Their lies, yeah.
Right? That's different than the other kind of liar that just does it because they enjoy it and they kind of are addicted to it. Right? A compulsive liar. A compulsive liar doesn't believe their lies. They just lie because they lie. A pathological liar begins believing it. That's Witsit. That's flat earthers in general. That as they progress up in the ranks, they invent new lies. So, okay, yeah, and then they parrot each other, and then so it starts out a flat earther believed a lie. And then they became a flat earther. And then that flat earther repeated a lie, making them a liar. And then at the higher echelons of flat earthism, they make up new lies. And so kaLLLeb aspires someday to be the one to make up new lies. But right now, all he's doing is parroting them.
He has a long way to go to be Witsit's league, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know if kaLLLeb's ever going to get to Witsit's league. He may burn out a flat earth. He's burned a lot of bridges on Twitter. With the
tinfoil is appropriate for him right now.
The what?
Tinfoil is appropriate for him right now.
Yeah. All right.
I think physical be infinite. Talk about logic. Explain the
possibility. Can anything be physical and infinite?
Infinite, yes. Explain.
Do you think that's a coherent thing to ask me? Like, you genuinely think that's a good question?
Yeah.
Correct. Is your claim? You're seeing.
How do you expect me to answer that?
You're seeing it's infinite flat plane, which is incoherent. It's an incoherent claim.
How's it incoherent?
Because it's incoherent to say a physical thing is infinite. It's just like.
But the vacuum of space is infinite?
Let's like Zeno's. Anybody can look up Zeno's
paradox.
So wait. Is the vacuum of space finite?
Yes.
How do you measure that? How do you know?
We haven't measured it. It's based on the modeling data.
Ooh. So what is the space expand?
So kaLLLeb has a blind faith assertion that the flat plane continues infinitely. And he's okay with that. It's
common sense.
He's okay with that. But the evidence points to something and it's put into a model is built with it. And that's a problem for him.
Yeah.
Something based on evidence. Yeah. All right. I'm behind on a few things here. I want to read a couple super chats. We've got Rachbot that says 7. kaLLLLebs, you'll be getting my repair bill. Oh, that's the thumbnail.
Oh,
The thumbnail, the one in the middle where his eyes are a little
yeah.
droopy. Like I just pulled up 5 video or 6 video, whatever. And I just hit pause, and I'm like, that's a good one. Screenshot. And that's how I did it.
I think this is what Caleb's doing. If you watch my eyes, it's creepy. Watch, like,
watching your what?
see, my eyes are all big and open.
Oh, you're holding them open?
No, there's a NVIDIA broadcast has this eye tracker function. It makes your eyes look all big and freaking like. I bet you that's what he's doing.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah.
Hold on. I'll make your. All right. Do it again.
You can do stuff like this. You cover the eye up.
Oh yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing that.
Maybe.
That's assuming a lot from him.
But you look at him normally, he doesn't look like that. Like here.
Yeah. That could be. I don't know. He's on a phone though.
Oh.
That's all TikTok. Maybe it's a TikTok filter.
Maybe.
All right. That tech coder says, bit of old news. When you were debunking Witset's ChatGPT generated citations, I did a college presentation on its uses and flaws. Coincidence? I did a
Totally not.
I don't know if you saw this. It was about a year ago. He had sent a list of citations to Bryant Myers, asking for Bryant to pull up these citations. And we figured out pretty quickly they were generated from ChatGPT. They were, the names of the papers were similar. The journals existed, the years existed, but there were no articles matching the page numbers in those journals of the same title, of the same author, or just at all on the same page boundaries. So they're all just made up, right? They were real authors, they were real journals, and the titles sounded right, but they didn't exist. None of them existed. And he's like, I found these citations somewhere. Like,
where?
ChatGPT.
He did that to Mark Reed too, and he caught him on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then he did, I think, because he's trying to say that gravity is electrical. So he had asked ChatGPT to somehow, I don't know what the prompt was. I didn't see the prompt, but the answer was where it tried to take Coulomb's law and Newton's law of gravitation and put them together. And it came through with some algebra, and it came out with an answer on the end. It was wrong. All of the algebra was wrong, but it looked good to somebody that doesn't understand algebra. So he copy-pasted that in the email to Bryant. But when he copy-pasted it, he did not remove the style from the web page that he copied it from. It all came through. So the background color from ChatGPT.
Yeah, so you could tell.
It was all ChatGPT. And I'm like, oh, let me just go try this to test. And I took a ChatGPT answer, copy-paste, keeping the style, and that's exactly what it was. And he's like, oh, no, I did the math. I'm like, yeah, you should. You sure did. Yeah, Eric Burns says need to look up the ChatGPT check tool. Yeah, there is now. Initially, there wasn't, at least that I knew of, a way to check somehow to see if something was generated by AI other than just kind of figuring it out, which we did. And this was a bit early in its usage, so there weren't a lot of people using it, so we weren't really, like thinking, should we check this against AI? But yeah, now I am. Anyway, so through that, you know what? This is what's interesting. Through that exercise, he was trying to find how electrical changes modifies the downward acceleration.
There's no downward acceleration.
But he needs the downward acceleration to be modified by modifications in the electrical field. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But he hand waves that when you're like, well, in a Faraday cage. He's like, well, but does a Faraday cage protect it 100%? No.
No.
Then the vector's still there. So according to him, the electrical field doesn't vary the downward acceleration at all. It only provides the vector. He says vector. Vector has magnitude.
Yes. Direction
He
and magnitude.
doesn't mean vector, but he doesn't have the understanding to know that vector is the wrong word. He means direction.
Yeah. He did this to me like in my after show. He tried to get me to say, well, if we did put a Faraday gauge in there, and he's saying that somebody used a fluke, like a fluke multimeter to measure the voltage across the air. I'm like, dude, those aren't perfect.
Well, a multimeter isn't going to measure the electrostatic field. It takes a very different type of meter.
Yes. I've gone to lectures on hardening buildings for EMPs, where they publish their white papers. I doubt he even knows what that means. They publish a white paper, do a presentation, and a lot of it's like theoretical, like we're trying to do this. So you're like looking forward to these new, but it's more so engineering designs and stuff like that, and about how are we going to harden substations from solar flare, because there was a solar flare in, like, I think it was 1798 or 6, or was it 1898 or something like 1898. I think it was. If we had the same magnitude solar flare now, like a third of our electrical grid would be wiped out because all the transformers would blow up because of all the ground surge from the EMP or from the solar flare. So it's a serious problem they're trying to consider, because we don't want to lose a third of our power grid in the U.S.
I'm for that.
Yeah, so they try to harden substations, and for terrorists and stuff, you could do. They can make, EMP bombs.
It's difficult to test for protection against an EMP, being that the only real way to do it is to set off an EMP. So you have to do it at scale.
They do it at scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have specific measuring devices to measure the field.
Yeah. So
through the equipment.
The test is easy. You don't need to shield it. All you need to do is reverse the field. It's easy to create a reversal of the field. Just apply an electrostatic field that's 100 volts per meter in the opposite direction, or 200. And so he gets a Van de Graaff generator and applies 30,000 volts. No. You don't need 30,000 volts. Your hypothesis is 100 volts per meter. Really? You just need 100 volts per meter. So his example it's about 10 centimeters. Have you seen his video?
I thought it went to 70,000 volt Van de Graaff. He said, I haven't seen the video. I was trying to find him.
He's got this little piece of styrofoam, and it's maybe 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters, you only need 10 volts.
Yeah.
You need a volt per centimeter. All you need is 10 volts in the opposite direction to make it move.
I asked him specifically in my conversation with him, if you flip the plates and you charge your thing based on the bottom plate, does it still do the same thing no matter what the charge is on the top or bottom if you flip them? Yeah, it does the same thing. I'm like,
did you do it?
Then it doesn't prove shit. It just proves electrostatics.
Oh.
It's proving you're charging the thing, and
the other thing is, it shouldn't just be styrofoam. It applies to everything, right? A nail.
Oh, yeah.
Put a rock in there, or a nail, or a piece of copper.
I asked them lead.
All do it. Yeah.
In my debate with them, when I was debating, I think it was John Zerka. People said he beat me in that debate. I rewatched that debate actually, and I watched my conversations with him. Like, I nailed him on electrostatics. He did not have an answer. I said, well, what about lead? Did you test lead? Well, you just need super high voltages. Really? Like, and then Von
should be the same.
Said they were crazy.
Should be the same if the effect is the same. But the reason why styrofoam works is because it's not a conductor.
Yeah.
And it can have a voltage. It can have, you can induce a charge across it, but you can't induce that charge across lead. So you could never get the lead to float because you're never going to get that charge across it. It doesn't get that.
And you need more than 400,000 volts. Like,
you'd need to melt the lead. Right. All right, we better get back to kaLLLeb here.
Expanding into if it's finite. With nothing, what is nothing expanding into?
Nothing when it expands, but we don't know if it's expanding into nothingness or something else. We don't know.
Space is already nothing. Like it's a privation of matter, correct?
No, space is something. Space
what
philosophically.
Is it?
That privation thing, that's a Witzit term.
Oh, I ignore that too.
So Witzit came up with this rambling thing that you know, because that's a lot of his stuff is just this script. He just presses play, and so this something about he's trying to debunk relativity with just this quote. It's a privation of matter, blah blah blah. I'm like, what do you mean a privation of matter? What he means by that is it's an area that has no matter in it. That's why. So it's what he means by privation of matter. Why don't you just say nothing in it? Well, he has to talk fancy to fool people. So yeah, so kaLLLeb just copied Witzit there by saying privation of matter, but no space. The space between the Earth and everything else isn't a privation of matter. There's just not much matter.
Right.
Let's see. Leslie Rohrer says 400,000 volts across any reasonably sized piece of lead would definitely melt it.
Arc welder, dude. Like,
wow, yeah. You could melt you could melt more than just lead. Lead has a low melting point. You could melt steel with it, maybe.
Logically is something.
What is space?
It's mass, energy, and fields. Matter, energy, and fields.
It's a good answer.
Yo, somebody clip that. Space is mass, energy, and fields.
This is the Dunning-Kruger here.
Yes.
Like, he's trying to mock you for having the right answer, and he thinks it's the wrong answer because he's, unaware of it. It's ridiculous.
Somebody clip it.
Somebody clip it. Yep. Let's clip.
It is a good clip. Clip this.
For a different reason, kaLLLeb.
Wow.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Shocking.
No, space in the form of a vacuum.
Yes.
Is mass, energy, and fields.
Yes.
Yep. Matter, energy, and fields. Yes.
No, it's the privation of mass, energy, and fields. I don't think. What's a vacuum?
There's no such thing as a perfect vacuum.
I don't care.
I like your smirk there. You're just internally laughing at him.
Yeah, because I know he's lost. Like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
He's so out of his league. Oh, it's so precious.
What's a vacuum?
So space.
What is a vacuum?
A vacuum is something under a specific torr value. I don't have the torr value.
What is torr? What is torr?
The amount of pressure that the environment has.
Really?
Yeah.
He's like, that has to be wrong. That is it? Is it wrong? I think it's wrong. It has to be wrong. I have to be wrong.
I don't think he's used to somebody answering his questions as he's asking them.
He had no idea. He had no idea.
Yes, it's a pressure measurement.
It's the measurement
you can do it in
of
PSI if you want to.
It's the measurement of the privation of mass. So is 10 to the negative 17 stronger than 10 to the negative 6 or vice versa?
Did I say mass or did I say mass, energy, and fields?
Did I just ask a question?
Yes, but you straw man me and say I'm talking about mass. I'm talking about mass, energy, and fields. Space is all made up of mass, energy, and fields.
Is 10 to the negative 17 torr stronger or weaker than 10 to the negative 6?
It's weaker.
Well, I refuse to answer this.
It is weaker though. And flatties don't get it. Vacuum there's no vacuum doesn't do work in the physics sense.
That's why I refuse to answer it as stronger or weaker. I say
he won't understand that. Yeah, he won't understand that. And
because I know he's creating an equivocation fallacy here.
Yeah.
So I'm refusing to engage in the equivocation fallacy.
Good job.
Behind a stronger and a weaker force.
Yeah, there's no force that vacuum. To be clear, vacuum doesn't apply anything. It's the non-vacuum portion the pressure portion that actually is what's doing the application of force.
Mhm.
And so take a massive object that has no atmosphere in space, that has small bits of hydrogen and helium and whatever else, and move that around in space, and it will pull it in. So actually matter is what sucks. Vacuum doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Matter sucks, or the pull of gravity due to matter
Pushes.
warping space-time.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah.
All right. You know what? I got off to reading super chats, and then I got distracted from reading super chats by going back to the debate. I gotta pop the stack here. The Caucasian Sensation renewed his membership. Thank you for that. Yahooligan says congrats on 20K sub. Thank you, Justin. Was Justin the one that was moderating the debate?
No,
other
this
day?
is James. Yeah,
Not-
he was moderating the debate the other day.
Like on Sunday he
With-
was, right?
Yeah, the Witsit debate with Mercedes and
Yeah.
Delcros
Delcos and
Mark
Mark Dreyer.
Drace.
Mark Dreyer.
Bryson?
Dyson? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dresden. Sounds right. I took to calling Mercedes just calling her stereotype. Was I wrong? Was I wrong for that?
Maybe a little bit, but she's a very wonderful, polite person. I've enjoyed my conversations with her. I try to get off of the flat earth stuff because she's normal in that regard. Same thing with Winston, actually. If you get them off the flat earth stuff, you can actually have a normal conversation with them. But not to anyways.
Flatties don't leave the flat earth conversation though, mostly.
Well, this is a funny thing. I'm having this argument about Witsit about the charge of like electrons and stuff like that. And I was like electron flow, if you're talking about amp flow, coulombs.
Yeah.
And I explained what a coulomb is and how to measure amps and what an amp is and all this stuff. And so the electron flows from negative to positive from the electron charge up. And she's Googling it up. And she's like, oh, no, wait a second. Electrons have a negative charge. So you're wrong. And Witsit's right. It's like, no. And I'm like in my brain, I'm thinking, man, maybe I'm waking her up. Maybe. No.
Stereotype.
It's like, dude, like she had this realize she thought I was wrong because I was contradicting the quote unquote science. But then I say, no, that's exactly what I said. It's like she's like, it is what you said. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm arguing.
Oh,
it's funny.
Dilly. All right. Axis Arkham says, congrats, MC Toon. Thank you for that. Justin Darkcloud says, congrats on 20K. Thanks for all the free education. You're welcome for that. Thank you for the super chat. We got Cretan Bull says, Jay Tolan is the king of mistaking clouds for land. That's true. Taboo Conspiracy is trying, but he's really just got two solid mistakes of clouds for land. He's got Crete, and then he's got the Swiss Alps, is it? Or the Alps. From Wales, that mountain from Wales, Snowdon. He's like, it's 700 miles, and look at them. And no, it's mountain, it's clouds.
It's funny. I think the longest land photographer it's in the 200-mile range. I know that.
Yeah,
Grayson always talks about it. So
yeah, it's in Europe there. The flatties talk about it all the time. And I've even I forgot the name of the mountain, but it doesn't matter. I've heard flatties say, well, how come the mountain wasn't leaning back? Because it's 200 miles. Flatties, like you're dealing with an idiot if it's like 30 miles away. Like, how come it's not leaning back? And the first question always tells how stupid they are. Say, how much should it be leaning back? I don't know, a lot. If the Earth is a globe, it should be a lot. Like at 30 miles, how much? I don't know. If you don't know, then maybe you should just shut the hell up.
And the reason why they could see that distance is because of the refraction, bringing it back up into view too. So it's not like
you can't see it every day. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's bringing like if I get my hand, is bringing it like up the curve like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's worse than that though, because I've heard people say when the picture wasn't on screen, right? They're just going from memory. This is funny. They're like, how come the mountain wasn't leaning back? I'd say, well, how much should it be leaning back? It was 200 some miles, right? So it should be 3 degrees leaning back. Like, yeah.
oh yeah.
Well, and you could see that mountain, and you could see it was not leaning back. Like it was just a smudge. No, you could see all the way across the water and to the base of the mountain, and it was clear. It was all blurry.
We could ask him how many degrees am I tilting my head? Like that's probably more than 3 degrees. Like they don't probably have any idea of the scale there either.
They can't even answer the question how far should it be tipping back on a globe? Right? If they can't answer that question, then they're not qualified to have an opinion.
That's a simple ratio.
Yeah.
Like
69 miles per degree. So at 69 miles, it should be leaning back by 1 degree. They can't get that.
yeah.
They can't even get that. When I have had it, Lemonbird, I explained it to Lemonbird. He's like, no, that's not right. Like, okay, then what's the math? Well, I just know that's not right.
Look at a compass, dude. It's like
He's like, I know it's not right, but I can't tell you how much.
I do phasor analysis every day. We deal with phasors, not vectors, in electrical fields. When I first started, they taught us they were vectors, but then I learned no, they're not. It's not really vectors; they're phasors. Anyways, it has a magnitude and a whatever. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So we do phasor analysis, and we add do phasor to phasor math using graphs, basically on a phasor wheel that's 360 degrees. So I'm doing this all the time. Like I'm phasing a transformer to make sure we're connecting the 3-phase right to the primary of the transformer, make sure we get the correct rotation and the correct phasing on the secondary of the transformer. Like it's what we do. And so to me, it's like it's just second nature to know like what 30 degrees is or 20 degrees is.
But when it's facing you, when it's looking right at you, you can't tell.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Anything, yeah.
All right. Robin Webster as a super sticker. It looks like is it baby powder?
I like Robin Webster. She's a good person.
I can't tell what it is. But thank you for the super sticker. PT Tony says in Witset's formulation, there are 0 quantitative analyses or comparisons of numerical predictions against observations. There is 0 science. Well, it's even worse than that. Witset has declared that there's no math in science.
Is that where he gets this from? Is from Witset?
Who? Caleb?
Caleb. That's his opening
yeah.
argument.
Yeah. Yeah, Witset has said now Witset changes his stances. And so if Caleb was on the Witset train for a while and then he jumped off. And so Caleb has a snapshot of Witset in time at some point in the past. So it was when Witset said that there's no math in science was Flatoberfest 2022. So that's when he said that, and since then he's left that claim behind. I think he got beat up in a debate somewhere trying to claim that there's no math in science. So he's like, I better stop saying that because that's obviously wrong. But Caleb didn't get that memo because he jumped off the Witset train before then.
And I beat him up about this whole debate. Like he appeals to geometry. I'm like, dude, that's math. Like
he's like hyperbolic UVC in hyperbolic space, and Witset still is on that train. And that's so wrong. That's straight out of Gleam. Do you know Gleam?
No, I'm still not sure what the heck they're talking about. Like
Gleam
light goes in loops or something. Like I don't know what they're talking about.
They say hyperbolic vision. So Gleam is a flat Earth apologist, but he knows the Earth is a globe. But he's just such a contrarian that he can't agree with the mainstream. So he has to like Poe, but they'll know that he's a Poe. So he posed as a Flurf, and he has these different papers that he's found of that people have done of human perception and people looking at things and determining how far they are away and being wrong about it. Yep. That. So when I'm like, well, I'm just going to do some triangulation to see how far away it is. Oh, well, human perception, human binocular perception, blah, blah, here's a paper. Like, that's not what I was doing, though. That paper is about psychology, basically. I just did a measurement, using an instrument, not my eyes.
That they do this, and they say this stupid thing, and I'm like, but I used the camera on my drone. I didn't use my eyes.
So, all right. So this human binocular perception, this hyperbolic space. Do we see in hyperbolic space? He brought that up. I got I couldn't find it. I found it again today. I'll get it to you. And what it is what they did. They took a bunch of people. They brought them out to some area, and they had them stand somewhere. And then they had like these. They had a ball
or something,
right? Some distance away. And they're like, well, how far away do you think that is? Oh, well, I think that's this far away. And
wrong all the time.
And when they were close, they were generally wrong in one direction, and when they were far, they were generally wrong in the other direction. And when you map that out, it creates a hyperbola. Right? It's I don't know what the actual shape was, but their conclusion was that people's depth perception is hyperbolic. And what instrument did they use to actually measure the distances in the paper?
An instrument, I imagine.
The specifically the angles. What instrument did they use to measure the angles?
The Theodolite? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So when somebody starts to reference a theodolite or an instrument that measures angles or something like that, they're like, oh, well, we see in hyperbolic space. Well, their citation for we see in hyperbolic space uses a theodolite as the thing that was measuring whether or not we see in hyperbolic space. The theodolite is the standard against human perception. First law of Flurf. It contradicts them. A theodolite is the correct thing to use to measure distances and angles.
Yeah. So that's the accurate calculation. It was with the theodolite.
Yes.
And I bet you money if you got like an expert marksman that is able to judge distances, like where they're practiced at it, that they'll be much more accurate because they're used to it. So, but they pick random people and that aren't going to be good judges of distance in the first place. So how do you know it's actually their eyes that are doing it, or it's just they're not used to judging those distances?
Yeah. This is classic Flatty here. Geocentric truth. I'll just highlight it and let people read it for themselves. I don't. What does that have to do with anything? It has nothing to do with this conversation whatsoever. Yet, geocentric truth thought that it was a winning argument to bring up that topic. When you can't respond on topic, you are admitting loss. You are admitting that you don't have anything. So geocentric truth. If you think you actually have truth, you would have responded on topic. You chose not to, thereby admitting that you don't have truth. And that your name is another example of Badger's Law. Oh, here it is. Says you're seeing in hyperbolic manner because of diminishing of the angular resolution, aka perspective that works on a flat surface and actual thing. No, not at all. That is not hyperbolic. That is Euclidean, what you just described. You're so dumb. Geocentric truth is an idiot and hates truth. Sorry.
That's a good point. Angular resolution. I'm trying to make sense of what you said. You're much more prepared for these.
Yeah, angular resolution is an application of triangles.
Yeah.
In Euclidean space. So your whole thing is just contradicts your claim completely. So, and the surface matters not. It doesn't, if something's far away from you, whether or not the surface between you and that thing is flat or wavy or curvy or anything, has nothing to do with your view of that object. And finally, angular resolution doesn't make things disappear like you think it does. It just makes details difficult to ascertain. So, for example, you can look at the tinfoil on his hat there. You see tinfoil? That is a threads. There are threads there. If you see that hat up close, it's not silk screened on or anything. It's actually sewn on with a sewing machine. But you can't see the individual threads because the Rayleigh criterion has is too far. It's unresolvable detail. It's not there. So, all right, almost done with super chats here. Almost caught up. The Watcher says for $5 orientation. That's you. You are orientation, by the way.
I am orientation.
Yeah, I think Ozien got spell checked into.
Oh, okay.
Into that.
Thanks,
Ozien, I hope you stick around with the Toon FTFE family. You'd be an awesome addition. I know you cover other topics though, so I understand.
Yeah, I try to. But flat Earth seems to be like the thing I've got roped into the most. It wasn't my intent to begin with. My first debate, actually, I had was on the First Amendment auditors stuff.
Oh yeah,
and yeah. I took I'm like sympathetic to like our First Amendment and rights and protecting our rights, but I actually have like a person in common with Dwitsit, by the way. The person that runs the audit channel that did the video of Witsit at Mount Rushmore getting arrested as a quote unquote scientist did the narration for the book I published. So, and I talked to him about Witsit, and I do these debates about flat Earth, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that video." And so, yeah, it's sort of funny.
I got your book. I've been listening to it while driving to and from work.
Amazing. I hope it's not too boring.
It's the guy reading it's pretty good.
That's the audit guy.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Geocentric truth is saying that I'm denying perspective. No, I completely agree with perspective. In fact, I have the capability that you don't. I can actually calculate perspective. I know if something is a certain distance away and its actual size, how big it must appear in angular size. I can do that math. You can't. No flatty can. If they could, they would not be a flatty. That's a prerequisite to rejecting flattyism.
Just taking geometry.
Yeah, middle school geometry, basically. I mean, you can just draw it. You don't even need to do the trig.
That's the beauty of geometry. It's all ratios. Yeah.
If you can take one of these, now I know that you want to say this is for measuring angles, therefore it's an angleometer. So you go right ahead with angleometer there, Flatty. The rest of us will probably just call this a protractor, but you can call it an angleometer. I'm okay with that. And so if you're like, well, if the sun is 3,000 miles away and it's 3,000 miles high, then what angle will be? Well, you could just draw that up on a piece of paper with a lengthometer, right? I got a lengthometer here for you, right? And now you might, the rest of us will call it a ruler, but you could call it a lengthometer, right? And you say, well, I'm just going to go, let's go metric. Let's say, it's going to hurt you. Let's say 30 centimeters is 3,000 miles, and you just draw a line. I know I'm mixing units here. Anyway, we could go sheep lengths.
Pixels. I triggered them with pixels.
Anyway, draw this. Draw it here, and then take this angleometer and measure that angle, and it'll be 45 degrees. I can know that because I can do the math. But I also remember that ahead of time. You can do all this, but no, you won't, because it'll destroy flat Earth. Pixels, yeah, pixels is a fine measurement. They don't like it.
Yeah. I was like, well, how many feet is that? It doesn't matter. It's a ratio. If I knew the feet, I could just multiply the number of pixels times the feet, like just a ratio.
Yeah, you could do it yourself if you could do unit conversions, people, but
Yeah.
they can't even do that. If I say dimensional analysis, their eyes glaze over. I love dimensional analysis. There's no numbers involved. Well, there's a few like squares and cubes and stuff, but it's not the hard part. It's the easy part of doing some physics.
I did this off. It's sort of on topic with trigonometry, but or geometry, but it's more trig. But I did phasor analysis on the board. This guy had his NEE, right? So a master's in electrical engineering.
Oh, yeah.
So he held that over my head all the time. The transformer, the settings for the transformer protection were wrong. They were doing 30 degrees lag on the secondary instead of 30 degrees lead based upon how the rotation was connected to the primary of the transformer. He's like, well, how do you know that? I was like, I just know it based on the nameplate because I do phasor analysis. So I was like, okay, fine. So I do tip to tail method on the board, just like, and show him how the phasors are and how it's 30 degrees off. He's like, well, show me the math. So I'm like, show you the math. Okay. Then I do like the regular math and I do that. He's like, well, that's not the math. I'm like, fine, I'll break it down to rectangular form and then reconvert it back to polar form. It's 30 degrees off or 60 degrees off. Anyways. I don't know trigonometry at all. I told my wife I love trig, and she got jealous.
Really?
Yeah, she thought it was talking about a girl named Trig.
Do you remember when she called you her 30-second lover?
No.
She was talking about
remember.
time. She's talking about time.
Yeah.
Not 32, 31 previous. Okay.
Oh, I get it now. 30-second lover. She wasn't making love to them, though, just to me.
She was being generous, too. Anyway, PhD Tony says there are records in the isotropic record called Mayaki events that are in the Kerrigan event but last for years. I don't know what that means, Tony. There are records in the isotropic record called Miyake, Miyake events, I think, that are in the Carrington event, but last for years.
The newfound Mayaki event is the largest of the 10 that are known so far.
Is this plate tectonics?
Traces of oldest and largest solar storms.
Oh,
solar storms. I think because I mentioned that maybe
the
earlier.
18 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it was a Carrington event, the 1859. Okay. Well, I was off a couple decades.
All right.
Sorry. So the largest was 14,300 years ago. Oh yeah, that would like wipe us out. That like want to wipe us out. It would not be fun.
It'd be bad.
Yeah, people don't realize how like fragile we are on Earth.
Susceptible.
Yeah, like we could be wiped out by a solar flare, a cosmic storm, or maybe not wiped out, but harmed dramatically. You could have a solar flare, cosmic storm that could wipe away the Van Allen belts or part of it, and harm our electromagnetic field, and that won't be any fun. You'll have solar winds coming to the Earth. I said solar winds once in a moon landing debate, and they freaking freaked out. Solar winds. It's like, yeah, dude. What do you think's blowing into the Van Allen belt? You're complaining about the Van Allen belt.
Yeah.
We're talking about solar winds.
And they weren't flatties.
No, they were flatties. I always end up debating flat earthers in the moon landing debate. It was Nathan Thompson.
Oh, I contacted James. I said, "Hey, James, let's get some Nathan Thompson." And Thompson is like, "No, he won't debate me." I love it. I love it when they won't debate me. That's the highest compliment they could pay.
Yeah, they like me for some reason.
They think you're a softie.
Yeah, I don't know why they think that. I'm nice. Whatever.
All right. Tim Davidson says, "Is this the Caleb Kruger event? Effect. Caleb Kruger effect, like Dunning-Kruger."
Oh, yeah.
All right, and Bob Frog and Greg Edmond are new members. Thank you very much for you two. Okay, now we are caught up. Let's get a little more of this here.
It's so in relationship to each other, 10 to the negative 6 would be a higher pressure.
Oh, gosh, bro. Okay, I'll ask again. Is 10 to the negative 17 torr stronger or weaker? There's two words you should reply with. Stronger
neither.
or weaker?
No,
really
that's a what's the word? That's a fallacy too. It's like
Wow.
it's called a false dilemma fallacy. You're actually attributing like some value to it of being smaller, greater, or weaker, when actually it's just one is a higher pressure and one is a lower pressure.
This is like talking to a third grader that's read one
There's
physics
no-
book and acts
there's-
like
Yeah, Caleb is like a third grader.
he knows what he's
He
talking
wants
about.
me to say stronger or weaker.
I know that when flatties ask you a question and they'll only accept the one answer, right?
Yeah.
There's only one answer they think that you should answer. Like the answer you think that you want from me is the wrong answer.
Yeah, I tell him this. Yeah, I tell him this.
But he knows better than you. He thinks.
It comes to pressure. So
It was very simple. I just asked if 10 to the negative 17 is stronger or weaker, and you can't say stronger or weaker. Just say stronger or weaker. Which one?
It's a false dilemma fallacy. You're misattributing the value system. There's a torr value that's a higher pressure and one that's a lower pressure. If you want to see a higher pressure is stronger and a lower pressure is weaker, then I answered your question.
So is it stronger or weaker?
Does higher mean stronger to you?
Oh no, I'm done, bro. I can't do this amount of semantics.
my
Let's go on to
problem
the
is-
next.
it's
Let's go
not
on to the next
semantics.
question. I think we beat a dead horse. You know.
You did beat that dead horse, Ozien.
Yes.
He's taking a victory lap.
He has, like, I told him, like, did I answer your question? But I'm not letting him commit an equivocation fallacy, because this is what he wants to do. He wants to trap me. See, people were bragging about how Caleb baits people to get him into a debate.
That's it.
And then
yeah.
freaking it does this. Like, no. This was the entire other way around. Like, I got him to come on a modern day debate and to my, like, it's not my arena, but like where I know I'm going to be able to speak and the person's not going to just be able to interrogate me for 3 hours, which is what he wants.
Yeah. And well, his style of debating is everything's a gotcha. That's all he's trying to do, right? He's not trying to establish that the earth is flat. He's just trying to do gotchas, and it's the false equivocate or the false dilemma or the
Equivocation. He was trying to
false dichotomy of, it's even worse than the false dichotomy if he's like, if I disprove globe, therefore flat, right? No, that's the false dichotomy, right? You need to establish flat. That's independent of falsification, and Whitsitt says it often. But they rely on that completely. Even Whitsitt does. He relies on falsification, therefore flat. And that's what he's trying to do here, but worse. He's trying to do gotcha, therefore flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl Frost. Is 10 miles per hour stronger or weaker? Ozien, I need you to answer me. Is 10 miles an hour stronger or weaker?
10 miles per hour is faster.
I said
than zero.
stronger or weaker.
Well, too bad.
I said stronger. Oh, can we just move on?
It's like asking if something is tall or short. I'm like, I don't know. It's in relationship to something else.
Well,
like
he was
strong.
He did give you two. He gave you 10 to
that's
the
true.
negative 17 and 10 to the negative 6. Which is stronger? Neither.
Yeah.
Neither have strength.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a couple other here. We got MK Ultra says the right answer, third grader. Tim Davidson says trig. Oh, she's an angle. A cutie, if a bit obtuse.
Yeah.
Oh, dead joke.
I remember those jokes.
MK Ultra says two persons. One is 1.7 meters. The other is 1.75 meter. Is 1.75 meters stronger or weaker?
It's 0.05 meters longer than the other one.
Oh my gosh. Slithery says Jaren's live stream just finished. Where do I shill next? Oh my goodness. It's 9 something. He sent that in 9:18 and they started at 5.
Oh, wow.
4
Well, this
hours.
debate went that long.
Yeah.
4
oh my
hours.
gosh.
It's 3 hours, 52 minutes. I've done these debates. Like, I've had to tell them, dude, I'm done with super chats. I'm not going to stay here till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
answering super chats.
I told James, I called him. We had a chat. I'm like, all right, let's get back on here. And I'm like, but you can't do 4 hours of super chats. You need to put a hard stop at it. It's just because it's too long to just keep doing super chats indefinitely.
Yeah. And usually it's towards one person anywhere. Anyways, depending on the audience and the topic.
Yeah.
So,
And
like,
sometimes the flatties actually then start asking Witsit questions to give them a soapbox.
mm-hmm.
That's
what happened. Yeah.
All right. Man, we've listened to all of 11 minutes of this so far.
I know.
I'm
It's
saying
not
you can't
semantics.
answer it.
Calling me stupid. I answered your question.
I didn't call you stupid. When did I call you stupid?
You said I didn't answer your question. That's false. I answered your question. I
When did I
explained the
call you
fallacy. I explained the fallacy by implication. I explained the fallacy and I answered the question.
This
If you
might
want
be
to
No,
see
you didn't.
stronger means higher,
You
that's
directly
fine.
did not.
Are there
I
any other
absolutely did.
topics that you guys would like to hit before we do go into the Q&A?
Did Eratosthenes prove the Earth is curved?
Yes.
How? The way that we measure
Oh,
gas pressure.
Hold on, I clicked wrong. So why did you say
152.
yes there?
I made a mistake here.
Okay.
He knew it was curved. So
Yeah,
he
was baiting you.
Yeah, he measured the diameter, what he thought.
Circumference.
Yeah, circumference. Sorry, based upon the presupposition that it was a sphere.
Yep.
Yeah,
But it's a good point. That because a lot of globers will say that Eratosthenes, somehow was evidence for the Earth being a sphere, and it's not. It's just a measurement of the radius. That was known ahead of time, and it was established because of the round shadow on the moon during eclipses and the bottom-up obstruction of things. They're like, what about... I love boats. They're like, well,
Yeah.
but you can zoom in boats. And what do flat earthers zoom in on? What kind of boats do they zoom in? Little boats.
Sideways, yeah.
Little boats.
One's going
Without
sideways too.
Without what? What's not sticking out of the top of the boats that they're zooming in on? A mast. In Aristotle's time, those boats had a giant mast. And it was a big white color or a light colored mast, or not mast, sail. So you could see them get obstructed bottom up, and no telescope would have brought them back in.
Yeah.
Because they didn't see what flat earthers see when something gets too small to see. When, too small to see isn't over the curve. Over the curve is partially obstructed hull, fully obstructed hull, partially obstructed sail, all but just the very top of the sail, right? That's bottom-up obstruction. That's what Aristotle saw.
Yeah, I made it. But I want to point out one thing here, though. I made a mistake here, and I admit it.
Oh, yes. Something, Caleb would never do, but okay.
Call you stupid. When did I call you stupid?
You said I didn't answer your question.
I misplaced where it was, so we're catching up.
That's
Because
false. I answered your question. I
When did I
explained the
call you
fallacy. I explained the fallacy side. So there is some room for error. If the measurement unit they used, if we're wrong about it, then it was more than 2% off. But if we use the measurement we think it is, he was within 2% of what we measured the size of the Earth is modernly, using shadows and trigonometry and a well.
Wrong.
That's true.
Eratosthenes, my turn. So calm down. Let's try not to interrupt now. So Eratosthenes assumed the Earth. You see, I hope I want to get this.
No, I don't see it.
Hey,
You
it's
can
my
read
okay.
it.
I'll read it. No, it's my turn. So you're good. Just calm down.
Didn't he ask you a question?
Yes.
And then you answered it, and he got mad at you for interrupting him.
Yes.
You
He
know what,
asked if I
that's-
could see it.
Yeah, that's it. That's because he's a douchebag.
Yes.
Let's
You
try to
asked
be
a
calm.
question, Caleb.
Dude.
You asked a question. I answered. Then don't
good?
ask a question and be
Let's-
upset when I answer your
so-
question, Caleb.
So Ozien interpreted your question as sincere rather than a rhetorical question. So we'll give you a
Good
chance to
job,
respond
James.
now, Caleb.
Please. So Eratosthenes divided 360 degrees by 7.2 and got 50. That told him
This is
the
good.
distance between Alexandria and Syene, 500 miles, was 1/50th of the total distance around the Earth. Where did he get 360 degrees as the assumption in his math?
This is so dumb.
He's such an idiot. I can't believe how dumb he is.
Where did he get
A
360?
circle, they just established that a circle had 360 degrees.
You didn't answer the question. Where did he get the 360 degrees that he assumed the Earth to be in the math? Where did he get that?
How many degrees could the Earth be if it's a sphere? 497?
If we
23? 104? 1.21? It's such an idiot.
He had me here at the one thing, but then he moved it to this. Like,
It doesn't know that a circle has 360 degrees.
it's an axiomatic claim for a circle, and it matched the prediction. So if science would work, you would say, we have an observation. We are going to formulate a hypothesis. Hypothesis is that the Earth is curved, the Earth is a great circle, sphere. And then they do a test to do an H1. The hypothesis is, if the Earth is a sphere, I expect to measure this type of shadow. If I don't measure that type of shadow, then the Earth is not a sphere. They do measure the shadow, the Earth is curved, and they can measure in multiple locations, and they can use that math to calculate the size of that sphere.
I just want to note that you didn't answer the question. I simply asked, how did he get the assumption of 300?
That was the first thing you answered, was you said it's axiomatic.
I know.
Step
You
one.
might not know what that means.
Let's define a circle to have 360 degrees. Where did you get 360 degrees from? We just said it did.
Yeah.
We could have given it a different number if we wanted. Go ahead. Let's use 2 times 3.14 3.1415962. Let's use that. 926.
That might be a password on certain devices that we use. Out to that many digits, by the way.
Seriously?
Yeah, just the dummy password when we're doing testing.
Oh.
Yeah.
We
Because no
always
one knows it.
nobody knows that now. No, that won't. There aren't 500 people that are watching right now. People, hold on a second. I do you have any sunglasses, Ozien?
Yeah.
Do you have any? Hold on. Just put them on here. Just no reason at all. Just
Oh, what?
all right, everybody.
Hey.
Thank you for tuning in. We are watching Ozien debate with kaLLLLeb here. I don't know. You might have missed the first part for reasons unknown. So let's jump right into it.
60 degrees that he did in the math, and you just went on a rant.
It's an axiom
do.
of geometry. An axiom geometry is a
That
circle
doesn't
is 300
explain it.
Yes, it does.
Do you know what an axiom is? It's the thing we assume is true.
Okay,
An axiom of a circle is 360 degrees. It's
So
an
you admit that
axiom.
he just assumed it, right?
Circle, yes, axioms are assumptions that we assume
Okay.
are true to do math.
to use as a
Axioms-
tool.
Math is full of
So he-
axioms, Caleb.
So he assumed the Earth was a ball, did math around it, and that proves the Earth is a ball.
That was his hypothesis. That was his hypothesis, was that the Earth was a sphere based on other
Yeah.
observations they had. He did the math, and it confirmed that hypothesis was true. And then he was able to calculate the size of the sphere. But we've done much, much better tests since Eratosthenes. And just for the audience, just to be clear, when I said he proved it, I'm just using it in the colloquial sense, not in the scientific sense, because as Karl Popper would note, we don't prove anything in science because we use inductive reasoning, not deductive reasoning. Induction doesn't prove anything. Deduction
Wow.
does.
You got it backwards there, by the way.
Induction.
Popper says you
science.
can't use induction. You can
Well, he wants to use in deduction, but he
Deduction.
recognizes. Yeah, Popper advocates for deduction, but he recognizes the fact that we can't use induction, or we can't use deduction in science because
all the
we
way.
can't know every.
Yeah,
So
it prevents you from drawing a final conclusion.
yeah, so that was his problem with the scientific method, is that we're forced to use the induction, so we can't know anything through induction. So yeah, so that's what I'm explaining. Like,
Yeah.
and Popper does talk about
Oh,
induction and deduction, and
There's no way that Caleb's going to understand any of that at all. So, yeah.
so whenever time you appeal to the scientific method, you're appealing to the philosophy of science. You're appealing to the king, the god of philosophy of science, if you want to call him one, which is Karl Popper. Even though I think he was wrong about, like, he goes all the way to solipsism. You can't believe anything is true. I don't agree with Karl Popper about everything, but when it comes to the scientific method, I think he nailed it pretty well.
I just want to note that this was not a direct answer. So, you
I
kind of
answered
you
it.
did.
I answered it directly.
It was
Can
a
I please
perfect
talk
answer.
without being interrupted? Okay, so he assumed the Earth was a ball. Did math around that assumption that the Earth is a ball. So in no way did he substantiate the claim that the Earth is a ball. He just committed to begging the question, affirming the concept.
No, it's not a fallacy. That's how science works. You formulate a hypothesis, which is an assumption, then you test it.
Okay, but he didn't affirm the hypothesis that the Earth is a ball in any way, shape, or form. He just
He did
assumed
with the measure. He did with the measurement.
No, dude. Oh,
Yes.
it's crazy. Wow. This. Okay.
So they like to go on about, oh, look, his face is gone. That's nice.
He's whited out for
That's
some
really
reason.
nice. That's a good improvement. So they like to go back to the first. They always talk about the first experiment as if it's never been repeated, right? As if you couldn't any day of the year reproduce Eratosthenes yourself. All 8 billion people every day could reproduce Eratosthenes every day.
So much the fact that there's a certain specific flat earther I had the pleasure of debating, I'll say pleasure, who said, because of that, because we all seem to have a personal shadow that's in a different angle, we must all have our own personal suns.
Yes.
And I asked, what about every plant? Oh, yeah, every plant must have their own personal sun too. What about every insect? Oh, yeah. Every tree? Oh, yeah. So you, Iron Horse, Flat Earth Authorcy,
Oh my gosh,
believe that everything entity has a personal sun? So there's billions and billions of suns? Yeah. Like, okay. Thank you. I think it's done.
Well, I get that
It's
it's
done.
not. They're not saying there's billions of suns. They're inventing something. I mean, it's a hypothesis, right? They have a hypothesis that there is a dome somewhere of some sort that is unique to wherever you are, and it's based on magic, right? Because there's no plausible mechanism for what would cause it to do that. So they assume the Earth is flat, right? The begging the question fallacy. Then they say, well, since the Earth is flat, they say, then the sun observations don't match flat Earth. Therefore, it must be something else. Well, the something else is it's not flat, but they won't entertain that idea. So instead, they will say, well, there must be a dome, a personal atmospheric dome over everybody, over every location that's unique to them, without having any mechanism for how that would work. You need if it's a dome of some sort, is it causing refraction? Is it refraction that's a mechanism? Well, you need a change in the index of refraction that somehow lenses everything magically to be perfect. It doesn't work though.
You can measure it in a lab. Like, you can test all this stuff. Like it, and it is like they always want to say a reification fallacy. So I've had to study what a frigging reification fallacy is, because I hear it so many times. his concept of infinite flat plane that is incoherent anyways, because you can't conceptualize it, can't do math on it, can't do any analysis or testing of an infinite flat physical plane. He's saying that concept is a concrete, that it actually exists.
Yeah.
Through common sense. That is a reification fallacy. That is what that is.
So is their personal atmospheric dome.
Yeah.
Right? All of these things that they're saying are the reason why. These are actually just very poorly thought out hypotheses. And they're presenting it as already proven.
Yeah.
And to a flat earther, the claim is proof. I have, let's see. I have the book. I have too many books. Oh, here it is. Here it is. The Debater's Guide, page 22. This is mostly about formal debates like Lincoln Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
But page 22 it talks about how you are to structure your argument, right? You have your claim. You have then that's where they stop. But then you have your data, which would be the evidence, and then the warrant. The warrant is the explanation tying the data to support the claim. They don't do any of those things. They just do the claim, and to them, that's proof.
I do this in my debates, like my moon landing debates. I explain what I'm going to prove. I explain what I'm going to use as justification for the claim, which is historical records based on primary and secondary sources. So we have historical records and that it's physically possible. And I make an argument for why it's physically possible. And I make an argument for why it's historical fact. And then I resolve it. I draw a conclusion to show how I proved that I am justified in believing the moon landing because historical documentation, testimonies of the people that went there.
Yeah.
And that it was physically possible. That I explained how we went through the Van Allen belts, how we even built two different suits. One suit for the CSM and one suit for the lander. Why would we design two different suits?
Just for show when people don't even see it?
Yeah.
Is Starman Stamen 990 says, is Caleb's Papa Fleur red pill philosophy? They have so many of the same mannerisms. I don't think that Caleb and red pill philosophy had any overlap in the community at all. They had a 1 or 2 year gap between them. Do you know red pill philosophy?
I've seen him on Twitter a couple times.
No,
I do not know. I haven't?
No.
Then no.
He's not on Twitter now.
Then I've seen him on
years
YouTube.
Ago.
Recently, I've seen a name, Red Pill Philosophy. I thought it was on Steve McRae's channel. Maybe not.
I don't know.
I don't know then.
His YouTube channel went away probably 3 years ago. So he started a new one. He built a container house in Florida, and so he recorded that and put it out, and he didn't get a whole lot of traction on it. So anyway, all right, let's try to get up to an hour 50.
Yeah.
I think the audience can decide if you understand that.
If he hadn't measured the shadow, right?
It could work with a local sun. It could work with a local sun and a flat earth. So.
No, it doesn't work.
One observation could, but not 2 or 3 or 4. Then that determines which one. And so anybody could do it themselves with a friend at different latitudes, do it and try to make it work on flat earth. I've never seen a flat earther actually back up that statement with the math. Never once.
Well, they don't know the math.
They can't do the math. You just draw.
Mathematics.
Use a protractor and a lengthometer and an angleometer, and just draw it on a piece of paper with your crayons.
Well,
flatties.
Those have errors, so you can't use them. Because
errors aren't allowed.
Errors aren't allowed. You have to use a perfect measuring device.
Everything
is
is perfect.
What?
There's what's the margin of error on that? 0.
Can't be any margin of error.
There's
in the
no
measurement.
such thing as a margin of error of 0. Yeah, it's that. I'm real. Don't you tell me I'm really good. I've been a I've been a contractor for 37 years. And yeah, when I make something 4 feet long, it's 4 feet long.
It's bizarre, dude. Bizarre. I don't understand it.
They've never heard of it. They've never heard of measurement uncertainty. There's an entire field, Industrial Nerd is in here. There's an entire field dedicated to it called metrology.
Yeah.
And there are people that live that as their freaking career.
Yeah. There's like different standards too, depending on what work you're doing.
A friend of mine works at a medical place, and they have neg 40C freezers, and neg 80 freezers, and they need to calibrate them constantly. So they have thermometers that before they go out to measure the temperature in those freezers, they calibrate them in a standard. So they know, because these thermometers, if it says neg 40, it's not neg 40. That right. Digital thermometer is off by a certain amount. So you need to go quantify how much it's off by. So they'll put it in a standard and they'll say, we're going to drop it to neg 20 in here. Right. And then, okay, it doesn't read neg 20. It reads neg 18.35. Okay, write that down. Okay, now drop it to neg 30. Write it down. Drop it to neg 40. Okay, write it down. Right, now we know the response curve of that thermometer. Do it for all of our thermometers, and they got stacks of them. Okay, now we can go put them into the freezer, and we're going to put it in the freezer for 3 or 4 days, and we're going to chart the temperature changes in that freezer over those 3 or 4 days to make sure that it's within the acceptable range. And flat earthers are like, it's got 0 margin of error. Yes, and Leslie, I'm like, I want to touch the neg 80 freezer. He's like, you can't, but you can do the neg 40. So like he's like, yeah, open this up here, and you know, there's a little frost on the side, and he's like, yeah, just go ahead. I put my hand right on the metal, and like, oh, it's cold instantly. It hurts quick. I did not lick it though. I did not lick it.
I had to go in Maine. If anybody knows where that is, that's up near Canada, like north of most of Canada, like north is the southern part of Canada.
I'm north of Maine, by the way.
Oh, okay. You're up in there.
Maybe not all of it. Maybe not all of it. I'll keep talking.
Oh, I was. And it was like negative 38 degrees. And people don't know negative 40 degrees Celsius and Fahrenheit is the same point. It's a cool fact. But yeah, anyways, it gets freaking cold up there. Negative 38, I could barely get the lock open. Like, it hurt.
Yeah. So, all right. I am north of Bangor, Maine, which is the pretty much the biggest northernest area. North of Bangor is not a lot. And and all of Maine is south of let's see, 47.5 degrees north is the tip of Maine, and Minnesota is at 49, except for Lake of the Woods goes up to 49.4 about. So there you go.
I worked up in Bangor.
Yeah? Bangor?
No, I didn't. She was
30-second lover, she said. All right.
Work with the local son unless everybody has a personal son.
Yeah, unless everybody has
Nice.
Yeah, you don't like to listen to people because unless you assume, like Iron Horse did, that everybody has a personal son, it does not work on a flat Earth.
Why?
Because everybody doesn't have a personal son. Everybody can go.
What do you mean
outside.
by personal son? Why are you strawmanning?
I said if you agree with Iron Horse,
I don't.
Everybody has a personal son, then it would work. But if you don't assume that everybody has a personal son, then it doesn't work. You cannot measure those angles. Because you would not get the angle from your shadows on a flat Earth. The shadows would be much more extreme the further away from your sun are than you actually measure. Because light travels in a straight line, Caleb.
Prove it. What are crepuscular rays?
Almost.
So light is bendy, wiggly.
Oh, and what are crepuscular rays? They're straight.
I get this wrong here too because I heard the eclipse thing again.
The eclipse thing.
Yeah, the Selenelian eclipse is what I heard in
Oh.
my head.
Oh, instead of crepuscular.
Crepuscularly. So I
Yeah.
answered for a Selenelian eclipse. I
Okay.
think.
All right. Let's hear your confusion.
You think that, like the azimuthal grid of
Does
vision?
electromagnetic
Wiggly?
Hey buddy, does electromagnetic radiation have troughs?
I love this part.
Yes or no?
Are you talking about the waveform of
Electro-
an RF signal?
This is very, very signal.
Are you talking
Very,
about
very simple, buddy.
waveform
Hold on, let me
of
talk,
an
let me
RF
talk, let me
signal?
talk, let me talk, buddy. Does electromagnetic radiation, which is a form of light, does it have high troughs, highs and lows? Yes or no? Very, very simple. Yes or no?
You're using non-normative language. If you're talking about electromagnetic,
Good answer.
It was a yes or no. It was a yes or no.
if you're talking about, I'm going to answer the question.
Wow.
Because you're using poor language, so I have to clarify what it is. So if you're talking about waveform propagation, there are peaks of the waveform as it propagates to the atmosphere. That is correct. We don't call them valleys.
Does
and
it have
troughs.
highs and lows? Highs and lows.
We don't call them highs and lows. We call them the peak of the waveform.
So it's not in a straight line.
It's not in a straight line.
What?
It depends on the.
What? I can't.
So you're talking about RF, right? When we transmit RF,
No.
it has a
No.
frequency.
Yes. Yes.
No, I'm not talking about RF. I'm talking about the entire spectrum.
It's
It's all the same. Like
it's all photons.
Ozien? I know you don't understand, but the entire spectrum is measured based on the troughs, the highs and lows of the signature.
they have a wave.
The highs and lows of the signature.
I know.
It's just a child. It's just a stupid child. Oh my gosh.
He was taught this by somebody using like language that he would understand.
Like elementary.
thinks
This
it's
is
li-
this is
Yeah.
elementary school like picture book stuff.
Yes.
Like radio waves for babies is what.
Yes.
That's like the book he read. He's like, I know more than you. It's so funny. Yeah, he's talking about wavelength. He's trying to talk about that because that's his his child's understanding of it. Such a child. Oh yeah, Steve6464 says why like a 3-year-old. MK Ultra says is Flurf's stupidity stronger or weaker than Einstein's genius? No third grade answers. And Dougzilla is a new member.
Waveform, correct.
So they're not straight. Correct.
They are straight. They traveled straight, Caleb.
What are crepuscular rays?
What? This refraction
What
of
are
light.
crepuscular rays?
Your Gish Galloping
It's all gotchas. It's all he has.
changing topic.
Yeah.
Just want to point that out to the audience before I
Oh my
answer the
God.
question. Before I answer the question, and before you make faces and stuff like that. Should I do my other button? I have
You
more
should.
of them.
You should do it. Do it.
Anyways, crepuscular
That's what it's saying the
rays
whole
are
time.
refraction
Oh
of
no!
light
With that
through the
level
Earth's
of mocking,
atmosphere that,
my
that
argument
shines
is
on the bottom of the
crumbling.
moon.
Wait, no.
So it gives a
It's
cool
still
effect.
there. Just checked.
Hold on. Do you have any others?
I have a new one.
Do it.
Fallacy alert! Fallacy alert! Fail fallacy. Fabricated authority and logic fallacy, where Flurf appeals to a non-scientist or fringe scientist for the truth without showing novel, testable predictions that we can emulate to justify those claims.
Nice.
Anyways. That we all see, but it's perfectly explained by where the sun is located, by where the moon is located, and by refraction. Like we have the models, we have the math to
Show it.
explain crepuscular rays. I'm not prepared. You're just gish galloping,
Anyways,
changing
In my
topics.
head, I'm thinking Selenelian.
Yeah.
If I say
yeah.
crepuscular, I fucked up there.
So the crepuscular,
I described Selenelian, but I said
Yeah.
crepuscular.
let's see. I got
See, Caleb, this is called humility. I can admit when I mess up.
so I have some crepuscular rays here. So here's crepuscular rays that they like to talk about all the time. Right, you see that?
Yeah, it's perspective.
And there's the crepuscular rays. Look at the shadows The shadows being cast by
Yeah.
those, right? But are they parallel or are they diverging? Oh no.
Oh,
Oh
no.
no. They're parallel. But they look like they're diverging as they come toward you. That's perspective, actually. For all the
Yeah.
talk of perspective, they certainly don't understand perspective.
Oh, that's the drone. Drones are so cool, man.
I have another one here. Here's this is my favorite because this is what they think is happening. Right? They think that the rays are getting wider as they come to you. But if you look the other direction, they must continue to get wider. But do they? I took this myself. Looking one way, they're crepuscular. Looking the other way, they're crepuscular. They still converge. They're like, oh, those are anti-crepuscular. That proves, like, how does that prove? That doesn't work. They have to get wider, like that. As you get farther away, or as you turn around the other direction, they would have to diverge.
Yeah.
They don't. They're not diverging.
Figured.
Because you're not prepared to cover this debate. You just want to dish gallop and say, oh, look, this guy over here can't perfectly explain every phenomenon in reality. He's a dummy, and I won. You have provided zero evidence to prove that the Earth is a flat, infinite plane. This guy believes
The ocean
Earth
surface is
physical-
level.
He believes the Earth is
There's the claim with no data and no warrant.
Yeah.
perfectly, infinitely flat. Like
No, there's
infinite
topography,
physical
straw man.
reality.
Highs and lows,
I
dude. There's
didn't say-
mountains. There's mountains, bro.
Okay, so he believes it's an infinite topography of the Earth, like Kyle Adams does. Are there infinite people?
That's straw man. Why are we talking about
I have
population?
because it's an observed claim.
Red
absurd
herring.
claim.
Red herring.
You made the claim that the Earth is an infinite flat plane, dude. You made the claim.
You're
I'm ready for
digressing.
super chats. Ask me a question, LA.
I know that you're just trying to waste time
Ask
to
me
get
a
the super
question.
chats. Hold on.
We've been
Let me
going on
get my
for
point out. Let
2
me get my
hours.
point out. I can tell you're just like literally red herring and just making this literally non sequiturs to
Projection.
try to waste time so that we get to
Projection.
questions. You haven't directly answered any questions. So you
Projection.
didn't. Can I-
Projection.
I do want to. All right. So, do you guys have any
Ask me.
topics you'd like to cover before we do go into the Q&A?
I haven't got a straight answer to anything. I mean, he hasn't substantiated curvature. He hasn't substantiated the theory of relativity. He hasn't substantiated anything. So I almost feel like the back and forth is pointless because everything's just been avoided that I brought up and anybody can see.
And all you're doing is projecting your own debate tactic. And I have answered all the questions. You just
No,
don't
you
like
haven't.
the answers.
This is our opportunity to go into the Q&A. I want to say, folks, if you happen
All
to have
right.
questions and you're
All right. We made it through the main
Back to
part
the
of the debate. All right, I'm going to stop sharing that to you and get you up on. Here we go. All right. Uh-oh. You're moving, but you're not moving on screen. Just a second.
Uh-oh.
I gotta.
I'll move my chair. Here.
No, it's my my feed here. Isn't picking up the right one. What is that view? Are you in?
You see me?
No. Well, they don't.
Yes, I am in.
I do. You are in?
Right.
Bad. So I'm getting things back, and I'll get Ozien back here in a minute, and then we were wrapping up anyway, so it doesn't matter a ton. But it's good to just wrap things up and say oh, there's a noise. I don't know what that noise is. I muted it so you don't hear it, but I hear it. And I don't know why. All right. Stop with the noises. You know what? I'll let you hear it. Maybe. Hold on. Maybe not. I don't even know what it is. All right. Can you hear me? Let me know if you do hear me, in fact. Oh, this audio is going to be weird if I can't find it. I have a lot of tabs open here. So here you can hear it a little. There's that little refreshing sound. Yeah, I don't know. The problem is I don't know what's causing it. I don't know if it's copyrighted or not. And if it's copyrighted, I don't want it playing. So let's see. All right, I got Ozien back. So hold on, Ozien. There's some audio coming from somewhere, and I don't know where it's coming from. No, it's not you. It's all me. So there we go. There's Ozien. He's all right. So you see Ozien in his chair. You won't hear him yet. Let's see if I can get. There it is. There he is in his chair. Okay. I suspect it's the sound is a browser window somewhere. So I need to find. Jeez. You know, I have there's no shortage of browser windows. Oh dear. All right. Well, you know what? I will I think we can sign off. Okay. No, that's not it. Okay. I got it fixed. All right, Ozien, can we hear you? Say something.
I'm here.
All right, there it is. That's enough to wrap up. This is your chair there. Everybody can see your fancy chair. It's like an arcade game.
Yeah, it adjusts up and down, and this thing goes in and out. And I have a feet and it has a massager, but I can't get the massage thing to work.
That sounds like the most important part.
Probably is. It has a heater and massager.
Wow. Where do you live that you need a heater?
I don't need the heater. It's just, you know, I spoiled myself with the big chair, and I got the 59-inch the 8K monitor.
Wow.
It's not really 8K, but it's 7980 or whatever by 2160 or whatever it is. So it's huge monitor.
Wow.
It's awesome. So sometimes if it looks like I'm looking over here, I'm still looking at my monitor. Or over here, I'm looking at my monitor.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does it come with a car, and does that car talk to you, and is its name Kit?
No, it's Cat, or Michael. I guess it could be Michael, but no. It's I just like it. Always wanted a cockpit. I'm too big to use it as like a workstation though. If I wanted to work from it, it's a little bit fine. But I wanted to put my joystick. I play Space Sim sometimes, Elite Dangerous, and I got the Thrustmaster Warthog joystick, and I got the throttle. It's fun stuff.
Okay. That's pretty
And people
cool.
want to subscribe to my channel. It's Matters Now. Matters Now.
Matters Now. All right. I found the audio. It was Bobby Shafto. It was a Bobby Shafto video that opened up in a tab that was in a window that was minimized. So, yeah, can you time travel in that chair?
No, but I can change locations.
All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, choppy. No, why is it choppy? My just got choppy again. For some reason, the CPU just spiked. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up at this point. I have another stream coming up, a debate with one Brian Sweet that is very unlikely to show, but I got something planned. It made me laugh. We'll see if it makes you laugh or not. Anyway, so I will have that coming up in a couple minutes here. It's supposed to be 5 minutes ago. I don't have Ozien's chair, so I can't travel to the past to start on time. So it'll have to be a little bit late, probably be about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes before I kick it up. So anyway, Ozien, your channel is matters now. You can drop it in the chat, or
Maybe.
are you just say hi and then I'll make sure you're mod.
Hey.
Okay, you're not a mod yet, but you will be. There we go. All right, now you can link your channel. People go there, subscribe to him, and right. Some people love the outro rap, and some don't. Casey Cooper says switching off to miss the rap. So if you like the rap, tell Casey how much you like it, but be nice. Just tell him that you like it and that Casey has good taste as well. Anyway, thanks for joining, Ozien. The rest of this debate will have to be reviewed at a different time.
I know.
It just goes on and on. Caleb is collecting the L's.
There's a lot of fun to be had in the super chats here too, actually. So
yeah. All right.
Oh, denial.
Oh yeah, of course. All right. Well, everybody, we'll see you again later. Here we go.
MC Tune, drop that beat.
All right. Let it flow. Let yourself go. So I know that is the tempo.
So, yeah, let's do this. So,
Let's do this. Yo, it's MC Toon, the debunking tycoon. I shatter flat earthers, make them face the moon. Your attempts are decent, but they'll swoon in the face of my logic like a deflated balloon.
Oh, MC Tune, the monsoon cartoons. I'm the real sage, send it first to their views. Your theories are like old brews, sweeping ignorance, or just spreading the views.
FTFE stands for fumbling the facts, evidently. I drop truth bombs so splendidly. Your approach is soft, mine's unrelenting. I bring the science while you're just venting.
MC Tune, the flipping with silver spoons. I got the pseudoscience, make them change their tune. You're the sidekick, I'm the rude. When it comes to debunking, I'm the rude.
But hey, FTFE, we share the creed to educate and debunk, plant the seed. Though in this rap, it's clear indeed I've got the upper hand, then word indeed. All right, hold on a second. The Zoom call died. Everything died. No.